Do you find yourself in a cycle of unhelpful thoughts such as, if I don't get this promotion, my whole life is over, or my boyfriend, girlfriend, partner didn't call me today, I think they're mad at me, or worse, they're gonna break up with me, or I messed up that presentation, now everyone thinks I'm a total idiot, and the list goes on. We've all been there, right? These are all prime examples of cognitive distortions, thought patterns that cause people to view reality in flawed, usually negative ways. Our minds are a powerful tool that can either help us live a fulfilled life, or it can take us down the rabbit hole every time something happens in our lives. In today's video, we'll understand what cognitive distortions are and recognize 7 main types of such negative thinking patterns. So let's explore the world of cognitive distortions. Hi everyone, my name is Aiena. I'm a flight attendant and a cabin crew trainer. Apart from travel, other topics that excite me are leadership, health and wellness. Welcome to this channel. Cognitive distortions are irrational thoughts that can negatively influence emotions and behavior. These negative thought patterns are not based on facts, or they're not analyzed enough, and they are a distorted version of reality. You can think of cognitive distortions as internal mental filters or biases. Now, most people experience cognitive distortions from time to time, and that's normal. But if they're reinforced often enough, they can increase anxiety, deepen depression, cause relationship difficulties, and lead to all kinds of complications. It also impacts our worldview, as we might end up seeing the world in a skewed or irrational way. Let me share my story with you. During COVID lockdown, I had a health issue and it was related to my thyroid. During that time, I had all sorts of negative thoughts such as, nobody cares for me, I'm gonna lose my job, I'm useless, and on and on. It was a low point in my life, but after some reflection, I decided to help myself. I ended up doing a coach certification in cognitive behavioral therapy, commonly called as CBT. That's where I learned about cognitive distortions, and they were extremely helpful. Now, in hindsight, I'm thankful that I had to go through it, as I learned a lot about the thyroid hormone and mental illnesses. Now, there are several types of cognitive distortions that we may encounter in our daily lives. The first step to challenging your cognitive distortions is to be able to spot them. So here are 7 common cognitive distortions to watch out for. The first cognitive distortion is all or nothing thinking. It's also called as black and white thinking. This occurs when we see things in extremes without considering any middle ground, those gray areas. It can limit our perspective and lead to rigid thinking patterns. For example, you're falling into an all or nothing thinking trap when you say things such as, I never have anything interesting to say, or my partner forgot my birthday, so he or she doesn't love me. When you're convinced that you're either destined for success or doomed to failure, that people in your life are either angelic or evil, you're probably engaging in this polarized thinking. This kind of distortion is unrealistic and often unhelpful, because reality most of the times exists between the two extremes, right? Another common distortion is overgeneralization. This happens when we draw broad conclusions based on limited evidence, or even sometimes a single experience. You might see things as part of a negative pattern or expect your negative conclusion to apply to pretty much every situation. For example, you tell yourself, he was rude to me, so all men are obnoxious. Another example for you. I failed the exam, I'm not gonna graduate now. It can lead to stereotyping and can hinder your ability to accurately analyze situations. Overgeneralization has been associated with post-traumatic stress disorder and other anxiety disorders. When people assume they know what others are thinking, they're resorting to another distortion called mind reading. With this cognitive delusion, you may also assume that others are thinking negative thoughts about you. As an example, imagine that a loved one of yours had a tough time at work and didn't talk with you when he or she got home. Your heart sinks because of the way you interpret their silence. You start thinking, oh, he or she's angry with me. What did I do wrong? And such negative thoughts start running in a loop in your head. It can be a very draining thing and can also lead to anxiety and unhealthy relationships, as you're constantly trying to guess what others are thinking. Now, you might be a very sensitive person and you pick up vibes from others. But please understand that what you assume about a person is colored by your own experiences in life and how you perceive the world. Mind you, they might be illogical. You may be engaging in a common error in thinking called personalization, when you blame yourself for circumstances that weren't your fault or were beyond your control. Personalization also happens when you incorrectly assume that you've been intentionally excluded or targeted. For example, you assume that your team lost and it's your fault, or you weren't invited to a party because one person in that group hates you completely. Personalization has been associated with heightened anxiety and depression. One more type of distortion is catastrophizing. It's referred to as magnifying and minimizing too. Here we blow up the negative aspects of a situation out of proportion and imagine the worst possible outcome while diminishing the positive aspects. For example, if I don't get this job, I'll never find another one and I might be homeless. Or if I don't recover quickly from this procedure, I will never get better and I will have a disability for the rest of my life. When people find themselves thinking in terms of what should and ought to be said or done, it's possible that a cognitive distortion called should thinking is at work. Should thinking happens when you have rigid rules and expectations for yourself and others. It often leads to guilt, anger, and resentment when directed towards yourself, and it leads to bitterness, anger, and unfulfilled expectations when directed towards others. For example, you say things such as, I should be able to handle everything on my own, or I must lose weight to look better. These types of thoughts are often rooted in internalized family and cultural expectations that probably don't have any logical basis. Such thoughts can diminish your self-esteem and raise your anxiety levels. Lastly, emotional reasoning refers to the false belief that your emotions are the truth and that the way you feel about a situation or a person is a reliable indicator of reality. For example, I feel like a failure, so I must be one. Or when you feel angry and you think it's someone else's fault because they made you feel that way, you're going through emotional reasoning. While it's important to listen to, validate, and express emotions, it's equally important to judge reality based on rational evidence and facts. Please know that emotions and feelings are not facts. It's also important to have open and honest conversations with people around you. Understanding these cognitive distortions is the first step in recognizing them within ourselves. You might have one or a few of them. Once we're mindful of these thinking traps, we can empower ourselves to think more rationally and make better choices. If you find yourself engaging in these cognitive distortions, there are things you can do to challenge them and develop more realistic thinking patterns, and that's what we'll discuss in the next video, so stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video for more mental health videos, please. On that note, till we meet again, Aina signing off, and may you stay cool and keep challenging those cognitive distortions.